Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be taking these parts and turning them into this project. So what exactly is this? Well, it's pretty obvious. I've got a couple chargers up here on the top. This is my all-in-one solution for a battery charging solution for me to use at work. I use the Milwaukee M18 batteries as well as the M12 batteries for the various tools I have. So the standard dual chargers that do both the 12 volt and the 18 volt are completely ideal for me. The box itself is obviously a Milwaukee Packout box. That works great with my entire ecosystem because I am one of those Packout nerds. You know, they get a bit of hate for being over-popularized, but there's a reason they're popular. They work great. So that was the natural choice for the housing for this. And I wanted something that was easy to take all my batteries, throw into the bottom of this, close it up, and take inside on those cold wintry nights to make sure the batteries don't die prematurely. You could easily fit half a dozen of the standard 5.0 18 volt batteries and probably a dozen of any 12 volt batteries. That was my prototype, so let's build a nice, clean, polished version. This project is very easy. Just about anybody can do it. As far as tools needed, need a drill, screw gun or screwdriver, some drill bits, and a way to cut some holes in plastic. I used a hole saw and a standard razor knife. You also need some way to cut wood. I used a circular saw, but you could use just about anything. And the parts needed are two 10-pound gas strut kits with some standoffs, 3-pronged extension cable, and a dummy plug holder. Oh yeah, and a piece of wood to actually mount everything to. Now, to actually get this piece of wood in the top, we have to remove a little bit of material. There's these little standoffs on the lid that are for various different things. I'm not sure exactly what all of these ones are for. We need to remove those and these little corner braces. And I just used a drill bit and I ran it in reverse to kind of melt it through the material more than anything. So, ran it in reverse, popped it forward, and it just peeled right off. And for those little corner pieces, my razor knife did the trick. It's very easy to cut. A quick measure of the lid, and I can easily cut out a piece of wood to fit it into it. The harder part is transcribing these holes that we're going to use to actually mount this. These utilize 1/4 bolts that thread directly into the plastic, but because of that, they have to be extremely precise. Follow that up by actually drilling 1/4-inch holes and countersinking them. And then we can start mounting the chargers. I laid them out exactly how I wanted to, and you can just perfectly fit 2 of these chargers on this lid to have them totally clear everything. Again, this is a precision moment here. Everything's got to be just so to make it fit right. A little pre-drill to help keep the wood from peeling up. And some tiny, adorable mounting screws. And I used these screws to fine-tune the tension on the chargers to where gravity alone would not make them fall off. And I used my router to cut a slot for the power cable of the top charger to run underneath the bottom charger for a nice, slick look. And some ebony stain to make the wood sort of disappear into the lid, but still look nice, like the wood it is. All right, so we've got our chargers mounted up on the top of the box. Now at this point, it technically could be called usable. But there's a problem. As soon as you put a little bit of weight, it'll close itself. Now, that isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. You could take something, you know, I don't know. You could take something and like prop it up in the corner or do whatever you'd like. But we're gonna be cooler than that. We're gonna use these gas struts and mount them on the sides. Is this totally necessary? Absolutely not. Am I gonna do it anyway? Yes, I am. All right, so we're gonna take these gas struts and we're gonna mount them. Well, you could go a few different ways. You know, you could go a pretty steep angle, something like that. But the problem you run into is this ends up blocking access to where one of the batteries might go. So I'm gonna bring it back and mount it like this. Well, then you run into another problem. And you can see that problem exaggerated here. Right here, we're contacting before up here, this is anywhere near. That's why I took and 3D printed these spacers. They're the same shape as our top bracket there. And now we can mount it wherever along here we'd like. And drive her in. Then on the bottom, there's a bunch of different things you could do, but on these corner pieces, you actually have a void right in the bottom there. So if our screws poke through there, it's not gonna hurt anything. And that's all I'm gonna do. There we go. So like I was saying, I just took this strut. It's mounted on the top edge. I just let it hang here. And I attach that just like that with the one screw. And then to give it a little bit of pretension, I'm actually going to rotate that up and around. And now you can see it's actually a little bit up from where we need to be. Boom, just like that. And boom, there we go. And this strut is installed. And now we have both struts in and we get the cool auto open. You could technically use this as it is and just take your cords and run them to whatever outlet you want. But that's not necessarily a single one-step easy process. So I am going to add this. It's actually a 3-plug little 3-foot extension cable, and also this little guy. And you'll see what that's for. It's kind of a fancy little extra feature. So the point of doing an extension cord or something like this is then I only have one thing to plug in to get every charger in this box running. And it's a lot easier and it's contained within the box. Makes life a lot simpler, a lot easier. So that divides this box into 6 relatively equally sized sections. That works out pretty well because a standard 5.0 battery such as this fits excellently down in these middle 2. And you can stack these 3 high in that section before it interferes with the chargers up top. But they don't really fit so great back here. You can only fit 1 or 2 because of the size of the container, which is why I opted to keep our struts all the way back in that very corner. As far as the 12-volt batteries, those fit in the front 2 sections really great, where again, these 18 volts don't fit quite as nicely as they do in these middle 2. So that leaves us with these back 2, which again, you could shove more 12-volt batteries in, or we could utilize those for some of this cable management, all this extra cable that comes on these chargers. That was definitely a much sharper blade, I'm gonna say. Now that's just enough to get this started, but not enough to get very far. So like I said, let me take my razor knife and just take this out in the corners. Don't get too crazy with it though, because this stuff actually cuts incredibly easy, especially if you have a nice sharp blade. Bam, done, just like that. Got it just slightly on the square there. There we go. That's all there is to that. I still might glue it in place just because the job site is a rough place. So now I should be able to shove this in here, plug it in, just like that. Completely enclosed system. Yeah, that will need some glue. All right, now that we are most of the way done, I've got one last little kind of special touch to do. Check that out. That's just the icing on top. Now you really know what's in this box. So I've had a lot of people kind of give me a hard time about this box. You know, a lot of people have been really excited and they're like, oh, that's a cool concept, but why do you do these certain things about it? For example, these struts. Well, struts are pretty important because without them, as soon as you put a single battery on this, it just slams itself shut, which is obviously less than ideal. You know, you could probably put some other packouts right on the top of it to kind of counterbalance it, but that's just extra steps that you have to worry about. The other main thing that I get given a hard time about is my gigantic hole in the back for the wire to feed through. You can see right here that ended up being not too big of a deal. I've got this grommet piece. I actually got this from work. We have these wire grommet plates that we use to run a big bundle of wire through. You know, when there's like 17 wires, you fit them all through this one grommet plate. And incidentally, the hole I drilled in this box happened to be the exact same size as that. So I just stuck one of those in there. If I didn't have that, I was just gonna 3D print or go purchase some other grommet. You can see it's not really that bad. The reason I did that is obviously for this giant plug to fit through, which is where the other thing people give me a hard time about. Well, why didn't you just do the male plug right there and just do an extension cord plugged into it? Well, that's because then you have to keep track of an extension cord. And keeping track of an extension cord is just another piece of the puzzle to lose. And finally, people were telling me, well, why don't you just cut this end of this off and do one of those build-a-plug things on the end? Well, because the build-a-plugs aren't very low profile. The ones I saw, in fact, are all kind of gigantic. The way this is set up right now, that is basically completely flush with the back of this. So you can stack this anywhere you'd stack a normal Packout stack and it doesn't interfere at all. So you don't even have to think about it. That's the name of the game here. Convenience. Convenient to open up, convenient to plug in and charge, convenient to put it back and take it inside for those cold winter nights. And that's this project coming to a close. This particular box is actually V2. You can see here I've actually built it twice. This one doesn't have the latches on it yet, and I stole my chargers from it to build this one. So I was able to tidy some things up, like having these holes not perfectly aligned and little things like that. The thing is, I don't need two of these. So this one, with the nice 3D printed latch and the stained backplate behind the chargers here, I'm actually going to be giving this one away. I built this one just for this video, just to show people how it was done, give a nice cohesive build project video, and I really don't need it past that. So if it's something that you want, all you have to do is comment down in the video description below, telling me what you think about the project, and maybe some improvements I could make or something you don't like about it. Some sort of comment that is productive to the video and the nature of the video as a whole. And I'll filter through those later and add them to a whole pool and randomly select one of those commenters to win this box. It will not come with the chargers because most people already have a whole bunch of these chargers and I only have these two. So it won't come with those and it won't come with the batteries because those are my batteries. What it will come with is the extension cord inside, the gas struts, and the entire mounting system to do everything as it is. So what that basically means is as soon as you receive this, all you have to do is slot on your charger, throw your batteries in it, and you're good to go. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and check out my other videos. I'm going to be doing some more Packout stuff here in the future. Some more labeled latches and special things like that. Things that are pretty specific to my life with the Packout system, and just general shop and field technician type videos coming up here. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll catch you then.